recording. Hello, everyone. It is I, your fearless leader, well, half of your fearless leader, Derek Hartley, along with Romaine Patterson. We are the DNR, as you know. So glad you could be here. For those of you who are here live for our Zoom on Saturday, and those of you who are joining us on YouTube or Facebook, wherever later, glad to have you checking out what we have coming up. And also, if you've never been on one of our cruises, well, you're seeing some of the people who have joined us in the past or maybe joining us in the future. So that's always nice. I will be taking text questions in the text chat while the presentation is going on, I guess. But I know most people are here to find out about our latest upcoming cruises that we have coming up, and also some of the many recommendations that people have made of various locations that they would like to go and see and explore. I will just say at the outset that we now that we have been doing these cruises for this is our 11th year, we've been doing these cruises. Obviously, some people have joined us later over the last 11 years. But for people who have been with us on many cruises, they have definitely noticed that we repeat itineraries or ships and that kind of thing. And definitely we have among our core cruisers, we have people who travel a lot and want to do lots of adventures. Many of them have lots of free time to do so. And so, they are especially anxious for new destinations, new cruise itineraries, new things. And so we are very mindful of, doing new things. And we definitely want to, make that happen. But we also know, based on the 11 years we've been doing this, what the vast majority of our group can afford in terms of time off or the cost of the cruise and that kind of thing. And then we also have to balance our live daily show. More than 90% of the people who listen to our show do not go on cruises, never go on any of our adventures. And, we have to be there to do our live daily show as much as possible and not, alienate more than 90% of our listeners. So we're always balancing things out. I really am trying to take everybody's requests into consideration and try to find the right balance of length of the cruise and time and price and all those kinds of things. And then also, mix things up. So we're doing new things. I will say that the cruises that get that we over-index on, the ones that always get a large response or a larger than we would expect response are Europe. Both of our trips to Europe were significantly bigger than we thought they were going to be. And then the other one that works every time is Hot Mex, which we're doing next week. It's so convenient for people in Southern California or just in general, because even Phoenix and San Francisco are within Las Vegas are all within a 5-hour drive of the port. So a lot of people, it's very convenient for a lot of people to hop on that cruise, even though they're like, oh, Mexico again, but who cares? You're in the sun and drinking and seeing people and having a good time. So, we do know sort of what people are excited about, and we are trying to deliver what people are excited about, but also mindful that people can't go to Europe every year because it's expensive. And on our last trip that we did for 10 days, the cruise was 10 days, but some people were in Europe for 21 days, doing excursions every day, extended hotel stays while they were in Europe. People really spent a lot of money on that trip, even more than the cruise itself cost. So we're trying to be mindful of all of those considerations and everything. But we had a fantastic time. And on the Europe front, Nat and Carrie, who are here and now muted, they had wanted to do this original 10-day in Europe in 2022. And we took their suggestion to heart, and that was a big planned Northern European adventure that unfortunately the circumstances in Ukraine caused Norwegian to cancel that itinerary. We really would like to, if not do that exact itinerary again, do one very similar to it because there was a big number of people who really wanted to do that trip. As it is right now, they're very limited in that itinerary. I think they have one version of it that's going on this year in reverse, but there wasn't one within the next 2 or so years that has been announced that we can do. But for me, I think that's a big priority because we had 180 cabins booked on that for 2022 when Norwegian canceled it. And that's for us a gigantic group. So obviously there were really a lot of people that wanted to do that. We would really like to do that if we can. It will also be a part of Europe we haven't done yet. But we'll try to get to it. All right, so let me talk about our current planned trips, and then I will talk about some of the other things we have going on. And so right now, we're leaving on Hot Mex, and then in April, we're doing the Virgins and Saint cruise on Virgin. So one of the big things that we have seen this year with the 3 cruises that we've done already, the Bear Soup Tampa cruise, which was in January with a group of bears in Tampa, coincidentally called Bear Soup Tampa. That ship, the inventory on that ship sold out before we had a chance to fully sell that group. Hot Mex, they pulled the inventory a few weeks early. Usually with those kinds of cruises, there has historically been some last minute, rare, fairly inexpensive space available for people who just hop on the ship last minute. But Norwegian pulled that itinerary a couple of weeks early for sale. And then the Virgin ship that we are sailing on in April, also that ship sold out last summer. And so we have had 3 cruises this year where the demand on the ship has been such that we know our group that we usually do have some people who book within the last 6 months before sailing, and they were unable to book. All 3 of those cruises, we could have sold probably close to 5 to 10 additional cabins on each of those cruises with people who wanted to go. So my advice to you is that if any of these look good, you should definitely consider putting down a deposit. Remember that with Norwegian, deposits are fully refundable up to 120 days before sailing. So if your plans change before final payments, no harm, no foul. And you can use a cruise next that would just return to your account, or a cruise first for the 7-day cruises. But there really isn't a reason not to, if you are thinking about doing it, to do it. Obviously, there are some people, no names, who have, who book and then cancel and book and cancel and whatever. It is a lot of work for me. I do not recommend that, which is why I don't particularly highlight you can put down a deposit and cancel because it's just more work for me. But I have had conversations with people about how disappointed they have been that they did not get to book the other 3 cruises that we had this year. So I don't like to have that conversation, and I don't want people to feel like they are missing out because of that. Sorry, I'm getting a text message from my sister in Los Angeles who is going on the Hot Mex cruise, and she has a crazy outfit for every night of the week on the ship. And she is coming to party. I think she's expecting an Atlantis cruise. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, so that being said, here are the trips we have coming up. We have a non-DNR small group cruise this summer out of Miami, which I will get into a bit of how that works later in this Zoom. And then, so if you are a teacher or otherwise need something in the summertime, we do still have some discount space available there. It's 10% off current NCL rates. So that's a pretty good deal. And then we're going to Dollywood in September. The host hotel is open now. You can book at the Dream More for that weekend. We will have our private event ticketing for Dollywood available by May 1st. We may have it a little bit earlier than that, but we are waiting on 2 things. One, we're doing a different kind of a thing on Friday night than our usual like the dinner shows that they have in Dollywood. We're trying to do something that has a bigger capacity and is specifically for our group. So we will not have the crazed panic buying of golden tickets, and then people buying the wrong ticket and messing it all up. So we will hopefully have plenty of capacity where people will not have to freak out and panic in ordering their tickets. And we will have that available by May 1st, but maybe a little bit earlier if we like get everything nailed down. We also have to wait for Dollywood. They don't have their own pricing for tickets and our lunch and our brunch and everything until usually about March. So we have to wait on them to finalize everything for Dollywood for the tickets. But you can book the hotel if you know you're going at the Dream More. That's available now. And then we'll have our event ticketing by May 1st. Then we have our Bermuda sailing, Triangle of Happiness, which is going on the first week of November out of New York. Bermuda is a terrific destination. We have great pricing on this cruise. If you haven't been, that is a lovely time of year to be in New York. Bermuda is a terrific destination. So strong recommend on that for those of you who haven't been. And then in 2025, we have already announced we did this Bear Soup Tampa cruise. It was a big hit. Tom Goss joined on the cruise and entertained. He and Romaine did a karaoke together. Tom brought his guitar. He played some original songs. They sang some karaoke songs. It was super, super fun. That is a 4-day trip out of Tampa. We're redoing that again over Valentine's weekend of 2025, February 14th. It's also President's Day weekend. So for those of you who don't have a lot of time off from work, this is a great cruise. You get 4 days. I will be there. Romaine will be there. Tom will be there. We'll have Bears for Bear Soup Tampa there and some of our regular DNR people. But just a fun weekend getaway. And we have pretty good pricing on that too. So, if you're wanting a romantic getaway or you're a single looking to mingle, this might be a good option for you in February. That one is called on our site the Perfect Date 2025 cruise. And then we also have our cruise. Oh, now I don't have it in front of me. Oh my God. Look, I've already forgotten all of our cruises that we have. How embarrassing for me. We have, oh my God, the Big Easy, of course, Romaine's birthday cruise. That's probably why I blocked it out. We are sailing out of New Orleans on March 30th of 2025, going to the Western Caribbean. And New Orleans is a terrific town. We'll have a couple of days of fun in New Orleans beforehand. So even if you don't join us on the cruise, you could come and hang out at the host hotel. We'll have dinners and we'll be hanging out probably at the Bourbon Pub again with David, my favorite bartender there. So that will be a fun weekend, and then we'll sail away. The great thing about New Orleans is the host hotel is a walkable distance from the cruise port. I mean, I walked it. You may not think it's walkable, but it's close. I saw the ship from my hotel room when we were there. So, and it's really easy to walk all through the French Quarter from the host hotel and everything. So New Orleans is a terrific port. That's a great time of year to go. We will not be around spring break or Mardi Gras. So we will not have kids barfing in the street, and it will not be too disturbing. But since there was a question about new destinations, if you want some beads, there you go. So that's going on in, the end of March, early April in 2025. That's our Big Easy cruise. Then the new cruise we are announcing for 2025 is our High DNR 25 cruise. As you can see, Aloha Beaches. We are going back to Hawaii October 11th through the 18th of 2025. We will have a host hotel in Honolulu. It's a Saturday to Saturday sailing. So if you want to have a couple of extra days in Honolulu afterward before you fly home, or a couple of days beforehand, that will be really convenient. If you've never been to Hawaii, it is an incredible destination. The last time we were there was 6 years ago in November of 2019. And we had all sorts of people who were like, I want to go to Hawaii, but I don't know if I can go now. Anyway, 5 months later, the entire world locked down. And I got so many sad messages from people during the pandemic of, oh, I really regretted not going to Hawaii. So I'm just saying, it's been 6 years since we've been. It is an absolutely incredible place to visit because Hawaii looks just like Hawaii. There are very few places in the world that you go to and you think, wow, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. Hawaii really does live up to everything that you want it to be. So I definitely recommend it. We have great pricing there, 15% off Norwegian's prices on that for balcony cabins. It is an expensive cruise because it is a U.S. flagged ship. So the staff on board, it has to be all U.S. citizens making U.S. wages. So it is an expensive cruise, but I have to say the cruise is a great way to see Hawaii. And we have discount space in the balcony category, an obstructed ocean view category, because that's what they have, and then an inside cabin category. But you go to 4 islands, you are in a port every single day. This cruise also has 2 overnights, one in Kauai and one in Maui. So you can go to a luau at night or have dinner in Hawaii in the evening, watch the sunset on a beach. It's really a spectacular, spectacular place. So I definitely recommend that. That's our October 2025 sailing. For those of you who are like, I'd love to go to Hawaii, but a $5,400 balcony cabin is not in my price range. I understand. Coming up in February of 2026, we also have our Love and Joy 2026 cruise. This will be a repeat of our cruise, the Love Cruise in 2017. That was the largest cruise we've ever done. And so this will be our first time back to that in 9 years. That will be going on February 7th through the 14th of 2026. It ports out of Cape Canaveral, and when we come back, it's President's Day weekend. So if you want to do a few days in Walt Disney World on the back end of the cruise, you can do that. That we have really incredible pricing on that cruise. It is on the Joy. They recently have added a thermal spa to the ship because that was the one thing that was really missing on that ship that they now have. So if the spa is important to you, that will be great. Yeah, the prices on it, I think a balcony cabin is $2,500 and change. A club balcony, the mini suite is $2,800. And that's including taxes, all 4 promo items, the drink package, the dining package, everything for 2 people. So for a week-long trip, that is a terrific price. So I think that you'll really enjoy all of these options. So even though these are both repeats for us, Hawaii, this will be our first time back in 6 years. This will be our first time back in 9 years on this sailing. So even though it's been a while, we have done them before. Now, here are some of the other places that people have requested that we are absolutely looking at doing in the future. As I had mentioned, we do want to go back to Europe. We would really like to do, the Nat and Carrie 10-day North Atlantic adventure for sure. We would also, just in general, we are looking at returning to Europe sooner rather than later for sure, because we would like to do Europe at least every 3 to 4 years if we can, because it's always a very popular thing for our group to do. And the main reason is Europe is often on people's list of places that they want to go. And doing it with a group, I think for people who've never been to Europe before, I think it builds confidence. Like, well, if I get into trouble, at least I know there are going to be other people around that I will know and they can help me out. For the people in our group who are helpful. Not all of you are, you know who you are. Anyway. So we are definitely looking at returning to Europe. We may also do Europe on Virgin. I'll get into that in a minute because Dennis had a question about that. And then the other 2 destinations that people are interested in, we have a group of people who really want to go to Japan. I have been to Japan. This is a strong recommend. Norwegian has a ship, the Spirit, which is one of their smaller ships, but it has been redone to be like their breakaway class ships. Which is a really terrific, upgrade to the ship. What's great about Japan is it's just an absolutely spectacular country to visit. It obviously has, rich culture, terrific food. You can go and see Mr. Fuji, Mount Fuji, but it is just a really spectacular place to go, and wonderful. There are a lot of people in Japan who speak English. So if you're concerned of like, well, I don't speak Japanese, there will be people in Japan who will be helpful to you if you get stuck, for sure. And Norwegian does also have a cruise that leaves from Tokyo, goes to various parts of Japan, and then ports in Korea, which is just across the bay. So it's really easy to jump back from Seoul to Tokyo. So if you have not been and going to Asia is on your list, I really like this as a potential destination because I have been to Japan and it was one of my favorite places I've ever been in the world. So it is a place that I can wholeheartedly recommend to visit if that is something that is interesting to you. But even if it hasn't been on your list of, oh, I would do that. I'm telling you, you will be blown away. It is really spectacular. It's like New York City, but it's clean and quiet in Tokyo, among its many joys. But they also have a Disney park there too. So if you're really into Disney, you can also do a Disney park. So that is one of the places that people are interested in. And then the other one that people have expressed the most interest in is the Panama Canal. So with the Panama Canal, this is more difficult because it would be a longer sailing. Most of the Panama Canal sailings are 10 to 14 days. Some of them are transit sailings that leave from Los Angeles, go through the Panama Canal, and end in Miami. So here are some of the factors with Panama. It has a specific season, and so sometimes like the weather is not good, or the Panama Canal doesn't have a lot of water in it, so they restrict the number of ships that can go through it. But people really do want to do Panama. We're trying to find like a date, time, ship, price situation that will work best there. There's really a couple of options because some of the Panama options are the ship goes to the Panama Canal, like goes in a little bit and then comes back out again. Others of them transit all the way through. So what we probably will try to do is one of their 14-day sailings where you start in Los Angeles and end in Miami and go all the way through Panama. And then those can be split up into either a 7-day cruise where you leave from LA and end up in Panama and then fly home from Panama, or fly into Panama and then Panama to Miami. That way, people who can only do 7 days will be able to do one or the other. People who have the time and money to do 14 days can stay on for all 14 days. And the nice thing about the Panama cruise is that they also tend to touch on South America or part of the ABCs, which people all are also interested in doing. We also have looked at an 8-day ABC cruise out of Miami. They do have some 8 and 9-day cruises going to the ABCs in the Caribbean, which we haven't been to yet. Also. But with all of these, it really comes down to price and timing and the ships and itineraries that are available, which make it more limited for us to do it as a larger group. But that doesn't mean we can't help you put something together. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we have the summer break cruise, which is coming up in July out of Miami. We had somebody who wanted to go. They only had 3 cabins that they were ready to book. But Norwegian, you only need 5 cabins to do a group. So we put together a small group for them. We booked their 3 cabins, and then we put it out to other people, and we have booked 3 other cabins there. So everyone gets 10% off on their cruise, which is great. Derek and Romaine won't be there, but for people where this time of year is good for them, they're getting a good price on the cruise and being able to do the cruise that they want to do. So with Japan in particular, because I think it'll be very difficult for us to do a group size that I think will be big enough for Derek and Romaine to go. But with Bear Soup Tampa, we did that cruise where just Romaine hosted it. So if we had enough people who ended up wanting to go to Japan, there may be a situation where Derek or Romaine or both of us could also go to that if we get a big enough response. But we do have people who are interested in Japan. If you are among those people who are interested in Japan, fill out the cruise information form. We now have a category of small group boutique cruises. So if you would like one of those things, whether it is Japan, in particular, if it is Japan or Panama, because those are the ones that I think we are the most likely to put together a small group on sooner rather than later if we don't see something that we can do with a larger group. So I would recommend putting that in there, especially if you have a particular date or time that you are looking at of like, fall is best for me or summer is good or, whatever it is, let us know. Or if there is a particular date and itinerary you have been eyeing, like I think Kenny has been looking at an 11-day reverse from Seoul to Tokyo. It's already scrolled who it was, so I can't see, but I think it was Kenny. Anyway, so if you have a particular thing like that that you are looking at, let me know. And I will try to find something that everyone can coalesce around. And then we will try to put a small group together. Obviously, if we don't get the 5 cabin minimum, that would impact our discount pricing. But we would put it together very early and we would encourage people to book and we would see what happens with that. So I definitely recommend that kind of thing. Julie is saying she would like to do Ireland. Yes, as I mentioned before, with our Europe sailings, we are trying to do the original 10-day, which included 2 port stops in Ireland if we can. But just in general, we do know that because we've already been in the Mediterranean twice now, that people are definitely interested in something in the North Sea or the North Atlantic or, up into the northern part of France. So we are definitely looking at that for sure. All right. So that covers that. Now I'm going to move into answering some of the questions. So if you have questions, feel free to type it into the text box and I will try to get to it. But specifically, Mark had asked about Japan. I feel like we have covered that. Dennis, actually, I'll go to Terry next. So Terry had asked about Dollywood tickets. As I mentioned, we'll try to have those up by May 1st. And then Terry also has a question about like how much to tip a room steward. So almost all these cruises, either there's a mandatory tip or your tip is already included in the price. With that, you can tip extra. I think it really depends on the individual person and your own experience with your room steward. Generally, I leave like $20 at the end of the week on top of the mandatory gratuities. Some people will do as much as $40, but I think it really depends on you. In the chat, Robert in San Antonio says he does 20 at the beginning and 20 at the end. So I think it really depends on you and what you're looking for. Rick had asked about the Haven on Hawaii. So they do have suites on the Pride of America, but they do not have a Haven area on the ship because it is one of their smaller ships. But they do have suites on board in Hawaii for Pride of America. But the ship it's a smaller, older ship, so it does not have the like set aside Haven area. I think it may have some Haven like outdoor space, like a dedicated suite space, maybe, but it doesn't have the Haven that you're used to on the larger ships. There's also a question about uh, um, Bermuda and about how long we're staying in Bermuda. I agree. We're not in at Bermuda as long as I would like. I mean, it is technically 3 days, but we come in kind of late on one day and we leave early on the other day, on the last day. As we have seen, though, Norwegian changed our itinerary for hot mechs within 60 days of sailing. And the last time we went to Bermuda, they changed our itinerary there. So they may be being conservative on this now, and it may change later. But I agree, it is a little bit strange for sure. And then somebody says that Japan is already noticeably expensive. It is expensive. Japan is expensive to fly to. It is expensive. Tokyo is a world city, and things are priced accordingly. Although when we were in Japan, there were definitely like we went and had the most expensive meal of my life up to that point in Japan. And then a couple of days later, we asked the hotel for a recommendation of just like a regular old sushi bar. And like, where do you go to get sushi? And they directed us to a tiny little sushi place, the best sushi I ever had in my whole life, and it was dirt cheap and super fun. So there definitely are, bargains to be had, like there are in any city. But Japan is expensive, and it is expensive to get there. And although there are some cheaper airline deals that might be available there. And then Dennis asked about Virgin, because we are sailing on the Virgin cruise in April. And Virgin has a future voyage credit that expires after 2 years. And but we do not have a Virgin cruise planned within 2 years of this Virgin sailing. So Dennis had asked, like, should I get this future voyage credit? I Virgin earlier this year, they had to cancel they had some production delays on their newest ship, and they had to delay the rollout of it. And because of that, they still don't have a rollout date for that ship. And it has caused them to not roll out other dates fairly far in advance because they are waiting to roll out this new ship. I am hopeful that by the time we get on that ship in April, they will have a full, robust calendar of sailings in over the next 2 years, so that people can make a choice for a good Virgin cruise that they could use that future voyage credit on. But it is definitely a consideration with Virgin that they have their future voyage credit expire within 2 years and then don't actually have 2 years worth of cruises available to book. But about half the people who joined us on our first Virgin cruise and who got future voyage credits used those credits on other group cruises that were not part of our group. So if you like Virgin and you like the experience, then you see an upcoming cruise that you like, you can book it on your own. And we can encourage other people to join you if you would like other DNR people on board. But the Virgin experience is pretty much a gay cruise, whether we're there or not. All right, quickly, Kim asks if there are any good itineraries on the Prima or the Viva. So I have not been on the Viva yet, but I did not have a good experience on the Prima. And we've had some other people who sailed on the Prima who also did not enjoy the experience. So we are not currently planning everything on the Prima and the Viva. Part of it is that they're doing the Prima a lot out of Iceland, and it is a fair weather ship. And so I don't understand why they're putting it in colder climates where they have all this outdoor space and then half the cruise you can't use it. Robert points out that the Viva has Beetlejuice on board. Prima has the Donna Summer musical, Summer, that people really like. The problem also is their theater venue is too small. So everybody who wants to go to the show can't actually get tickets to the show. So if you're booking the Viva just because you want to go to Beetlejuice, book in the Haven so you can get your tickets early, because you might get sold out and then have a very unpleasant experience. So the ships are beautiful. The rooms are beautiful and big. I love their food hall concept when you can get a place to eat there. I think that as they continue to roll out these Prima class ships, they will be better. But the first iterations of them are not my favorites. So I'm waiting to see as they go how it will go. And then for the cruise next, the cruise next terms and conditions say that you cannot apply a cruise next to an existing reservation, but the system does allow it. So you should not have an issue with buying a cruise next on board the ship and then applying it, as long as it's not within 120 days of sailing and you've made your final payment. If you've already paid in full for it, you cannot apply a cruise next to the reservation. And This is obviously subject to change without notice. So, the terms say you cannot apply a cruise next to an existing reservation. So if you get it and then you can't apply it, I'm telling you right now, the terms say you can't apply it. But in the past, people have been able to apply it. Okay, but that does not, what happened in the past does not mean that will happen in the future. All right, well, thank you all for coming. We are very out of time, but I appreciate you all being here for this cruise Zoom. For those of you who are going on Hot Mex, I will see you very soon. And we may do another cruise Zoom before we get to the Virgin Cruise coming up in April. But again, don't get sold out. Our best pricing is if you book early. If there are changes in pricing, we have been able to update our pricing more than 120 days out for people. So, there is no real risk of booking early on one of our cruises. Thanks, and I will see you soon on the high seas. All right, bye.